Hey, Clint, thanks for having me on. Great to be here.
Well, who would have thought Bill Rapier would be doing interviews on podcasts, huh?
Yeah, who would have thought Clint would be hosting them?
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I think weren't both of us the kind of guys that sat around making fun of the guys that we've become, kind of, sorta?
Absolutely.
Yeah, a little bit, right? So here we are. Hypocrites in our own solid professional way. Okay. So where do I start with you? Geez, we've known each other for a while. Let's see. We were at Team 3 together. Went through 18 Delta together, at least the first short course. And then we're on the East Coast at the same time. Our timelines didn't exactly match us up at any locations overseas, at least not that I'm aware of. But we were on the same coast at the same time. When did you retire?
June of 14.
14. That's right.
Yep.
And then I followed you about a year later in January of 15. Geez, I don't even know where to start. We've got 100 Deadly Skills Combat Edition. Obviously, you're one of my main badasses in the book, and you provided probably the most deadly, crazy John Wick stuff that anybody's ever seen. Every time there's a video of you going through the motions of your imaginary targets in front of you, it always gets a bunch of views and a whole bunch of conversations going. But let's dial back. Out of all those positions, assaulter, breacher, sniper, team leader, troop chief, which one was your favorite?
Man, that it's hard to say because each one, I mean, there was things that were amazing about each one of those roles. I mean, when you're just an assaulter, shooter level guy, like, man, it's awesome. You have very little responsibility. At the time, you think it's a lot, but in hindsight, it's almost zero responsibility. And your job is to kick doors, and that's great, right? Kick doors, and then kind of started working my way into first off, just carrying a shotgun. Well, first, when you show up, you have to carry a manual tool. So I had a hoolie. And then once I started my sophomore year, I promptly handed the hoolie off, I think, to Andy Stumpf. He got my hoolie, and I upgraded to a shotgun. And
Nice.
then started doing some explosive breaches, explosive charges, and so that was a blast. And then very quickly saw the whole recce piece. Snipers wanted to do that, so worked towards getting in there, and then did that for a while. Thought that was very, very satisfying, just being able to kind of look and figure out how are we going to get to this target, and which direction are we going to attack from, all that stuff. Like, I really enjoyed it. We'd sit around with my team for hours and just war game all the different different targets that we had on the deck, and go, okay, how are we going to do this? What's the best way in? And I found that hugely satisfying. There's points. I mean, I think
It's endless.
yeah, it's endless, but I think there's points in each one of those that are just amazing. I mean, I remember doing a tandem jump during the tandem bundle course, and it was right at dawn in the desert. And I don't remember who it was strapped to me, but I remember one of my instructors coming and taking grips with me. Like, we're there, like, hand grips like that on a sunrise drop in the desert. And it's just, so much cool stuff. It's hard to be able to nail it down and say this one thing was the coolest thing.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, I remember you telling me one time, pretty sure it was you, and obviously other guys on the East Coast will say, when you're at certain commands, you can become a true professional at whatever it is you want to be a pro at, right? And I think the example that you gave me was, if you want to be a lead climber, you want to be the best lead climber in the world, you can do it at certain places. And I think you told me a story about just going and climbing these ice walls as part of to become a better lead climber. Where was that?
That was actually one of my first trips when I got to the command. Like, after I'd made it through selection and everything, we flew into Canada and did 2 weeks ice climbing up in Banff. And it was amazing. I mean, we went with one of the best, I think it was Jay Smith, one of the best ice climbers in the world. linked up with him, and you had to ice climb every weekday. And then on the weekends, you could either ice climb or ski or just hit the bars. And so I remember we'd ice climb Monday through Friday. And then it's Friday afternoon, and guys are like, all right, what's everyone doing? And guys are like, I'm going skiing, or I'm just going to recover, or whatever. And like, no one said they wanted to go climbing. I'm like, I want to go climb. So it ends up just being me and Jay Smith, like by ourselves. And he's leading this just crazy mixed route, which, I'm able to follow him up, so mixed route is something where you're using your ice tools, but there's no ice until you get higher up. So you're dry tooling. And it's, climbing wise, I was doing a lot of climbing at the time. So I didn't feel like the climbing was that hard as a follower. But for him to lead that stuff that's really, really hard to protect is just, man, totally hats off to that guy. And, any of the guys that get on the pointy end of the rope on serious mixed routes like that is very, very impressive, because it's, you can, I've said it a lot, that you can tell a lot about someone's character when they get on the pointy end of the rope. I mean, there's been times when I've been climbing. I mean, and I was in high school, I was climbing stuff where I got to points and it's like, if I fall right now, I'm going to die. Like, I didn't have the gear. Honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have guys mentoring me. It was all kind of OJT, me learning, going, that looks cool, I'm going to try and climb that, which meant I got in over my head a lot, which meant there was times where I remember this one, it was on a second pitch in Garden of the Gods, a flaring crack. And I didn't even own any equipment to protect us. Like, I got into this crack, and it's like, I got to a point where I'm like, man, I'm going to deck if I fall right now. And I can either freak out and try and down climb, which is super hard, or I can just, this is within my climbing ability. I'm just going to, man up and go.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Great mental strength that can be gotten through training like that.
Yeah, no doubt. And for those listening, Banff, the only time you usually see it these days on your Instagram feed of the beautiful lakes at altitude, up there at elevation up there, snow-capped mountains, super surreal. Little do they know.
Lake Louise. It's amazing.
Yeah, amazing area. Holy crap. And you're pulling off feats up there, climbing up ice walls. That's pretty cool, man. You're listening to Can You Survive This Podcast? Thanks for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe, rate, and share on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.